Welcome back into the Academy broadcast. We're here for the final game of the day in Week 3. Golden Guardians Academy against Evil Geniuses Academy. And so we just watched the two teams at the top play against each other. Now we have two teams that want to fight to be able to get towards the middle of the pack. Evil Geniuses Academy sitting at 2 and 3, while Golden Guardians are at 1 and 4. Of course, every win matters, especially when you're trying to see if you can fight your way back into the games. And we got to start off with talking about Golden Guardians, of course.
And I honestly think that even though their win line is only 1 and 4, it's not particularly fantastic. I still think this is full of great players, especially in the bot lane when you see Prismal on carries. Now, yesterday up against Cloud9 Academy, they did put him on the Seraphine Nautilus. I don't know that was the right decision. He certainly functions better when you see the Vayne that we saw last week, or when we see something like a Kaisa that we see from teams all over the world.
I mean, and in the early game, it still worked. It still looked good. They got Yunbi on this Aurelia that was able to do so much work, to be able to catch out Copy, to try to play aggressively. So it seemed like everything was working out perfectly. It was the fact that they faltered around the mid game and started having some questionable plays, but Cloud9 Academy themselves being able to capitalize brilliantly off of those.
And Rosethorn also had a record-setting day for himself. That was a really well-done gank, and especially several of those plays that he had on Hecarim inspired confidence in the entire team. I feel like if they continue to put him on these playmaking type characters, he's going to go far. But unfortunately, the meta just doesn't suit that as much. So yes, Hecarim is kind of the outside pick, but more often than not, you're getting the hard farming characters, the Udyrs, the Olafs. And I feel like that's been Golden Guardian's Achilles heel more than anything else.
Yeah. And it's so funny seeing that with Hecarim, since he was so strong and so dominant in the preseason leading up, even for the first cycle of the patch in 11.1, where people are still playing him a lot. He's just kind of fallen off. People are like, yeah, you know what? It's not as good. Why not play Udyr, the homeless man running around at people and pretty much doing almost a better job at being that backline diver tank who's running at people. Sure, you lack the fear, but a point-and-click stun is always good too.
It's nice to have, and Golden Guardians Academy, they've made do with what they have. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit off of their meta. They're playing a little bit different than I think the team wants to play optimally. Yunbi has shown that on Assassins, he is incredibly skilled, and on Control Mages, it seems like he struggles more often than not. So when I see this draft today coming in against Evil Geniuses Academy, I'm hoping that they play more towards their strengths and not just towards the meta, the bland meta that doesn't seem to suit the team at all.
Well, that's something I always recommend, It's like if things aren't really working out so well, go for the Hail Mary play. Play your own style and say, to hell with it, we'll do whatever we want. But that kind of leads us to talking about Evil Geniuses Academy and what they're going to be able to provide, because they're a team that I feel like are almost in a similar boat, that when they play more of the meta style, they're all right. But when they play their own way and they find these crazy plays to be able to get into the back line, that they're able to almost succeed more.
Tony Top especially just had quite a game yesterday. He was the 1v5 monster alligator that most teams dream of. Whenever he gets the carry and he gets the support that he needs from contracts, they make incredible plays together, and I think that's going to be the win condition for this team, is play top, make sure Tony Top gets what he wants, and then send him to the rest of the map, because goodness sakes, he is just all over the map. You could see him all day yesterday and really all season doing so much work for the team.
And if I recall, Tony Top was one of those players that the man, the myth, the legend, XT, Elton out there, was able to spot out and be able to prove to the world like how good he's going to be able to play. But same with Jojo Pyun in this mid lane. On this Zoe pick was also something that was really oppressive. He was able to land so many of these skill shots to be, look at that, just so much damage onto Ryoma that what can you do against that?
There's just not a lot. He plays Zoe incredibly well. You can't let him have this pick. He has shown time and again that he is quite talented on it, and with their win yesterday, we're able to seal a second win. I do want to see Shoryu and Mystiques have a little bit more synergy, because sometimes there seems to be a little miscommunication going on between the two, and especially in laning phase, there's a lot of struggles going on. So I think that's going to be the biggest delta between these two teams, is this bot lane between Shoryu and Prismal and Chime and Mystiques going head to head against each other, because regardless of what is happening around the map, you have to worry about what your bot lane's doing and how they're going to translate to the rest of the game.
Exactly. It's how you're going to be able to kind of figure out what's going well for you, what's not going well. And I kind of want to talk about the strength of schedule for both of these teams really quickly, because when you look at how and who they've played against, both these teams have actually gone up against most of the teams towards the top of the standings currently. think both of them have played against Team Liquid Academy. Both of them have played against Immortals Academy. The only difference, I think, is that Evil Geniuses Academy haven't played against Cloud9 Academy just yet, but they played against FlyQuest Academy. Both teams have played against them. So they've had a really difficult start to the season, playing up against teams that ended up being the dominant teams that everyone's looking at the 1, 2, and 3 slots, having to fight up against them, and then everyone's saying, oh, they're not doing so well, they're towards the bottom for X, Y, and Z reason. Maybe it's just because the teams they played against were really good.
There are a number of different reasons that a score line doesn't necessarily present how good the players are or even their relative strength to the rest of the region. Like you said, the lineup matters. Sometimes it's a meta that just doesn't fit the team. And other times, there's just some miscommunication, some gelling issues that need to be worked out in the beginning of the season so that they can improve later on as we go forward and play in the back half.
Right, and I think Spawn said it best during the interview when he talked about how best of ones aren't always going to be indicative of how good these teams are. He was singing praises of 100 Thieves Academy, yet they're sitting, towards the middle. They're not doing so as hot as people would expect, mostly because sometimes with best of ones, you make those critical mistakes, and that's it. You've lost that series because it's just that one game. If you can figure out what those weaknesses are, figure out those small mistakes that you make during the games and patch those over, well, there you go, towards the end of the season, especially since it's a really quick season here for this first split of Academy, you might be able to make it into playoffs and might actually be able to succeed there.
Hopefully so, but both these teams have to compete. This has to be today because we're in day 6. This is the pretty much end of the line. This is where if you don't get wins today, getting wins later aren't going to matter as much. Like, you're not going to get to the top spot. That's not what?
I said we're past the halfway point.
We are, mathematically. And so you have to get those wins. You have to get the momentum forward, and you have to start thinking about what's going to happen after the season is over. Because in the Proving Grounds, there's a lot of teams that are going to be coming up.
There's going to be a lot of teams gunning for those spots to say that they deserve to be in Academy, and they're the ones that really should be replacing you, being picked up for Academy, or hell, even going further beyond that, see more rookie talent be filtered into the LCS. That's really what we all want to see. We all want to see, whether it be Academy players, whether it be amateur teams, see these players succeed and continue to rise, because if all these rookies succeed and do well, the entire region as a whole grows and thrives.
And I think that's what we're seeing a lot, because a lot of these new players coming in have looked very, very strong. Tony Top, as we talked about a little bit, Jojo Puna as well, not necessarily a new player, but coming into a new region is going to be an incredible player to watch. And I'm excited to see what happens when these two relatively new teams kind of go against each other.
Exactly. And so going into this game, and let's start talking about draft before we jump into it to kind of get an idea of what's going on. I mentioned before that Team Liquid Academy were the team that had the highest average game time based off teams that have been doing well. Unfortunately for Golden Guardians Academy, they have had the highest average game time, the lowest average game time, but not for a good reason. It's mostly because when they fall behind, they struggle to be able to fight back. And that's something that some of the newer players, they struggle with when it comes to being able to retain their mental and being able to figure out what they need to do in order to come back in any regards, because no game is truly lost right out the gates, even if you get picked off or die a couple times. We saw that earlier with Schernfire, where he was 0-2 on an Echo, and it looked like he wasn't going to be able to do anything. And suddenly, he was able to delete, I believe it was Keith, and say, all right, cool, here I am. I'm in the game again.
It really just comes down to knowing your win conditions, and both these teams have been playing the entire season. They haven't changed any drafts. They haven't changed any players up. This lineup needs to know how to play at this point. They need to know what their win conditions are, and I know that both of these coaches have talked to these teams and said, we need to improve. This is what we need to do.
And one of the things I also like to talk about is, based off blue and red side, how teams have done, how well they're able to do. And so for Evil Geniuses Academy, they've won both of their games on blue side. They've only played one game on red side, and they unfortunately did lose that game. So I could be wrong again on this one. So don't, just because like last time, I believe that they are on red side. That is what I believe. I have it written down in my notebook, and if that's not the case, then I'm gonna have to redo that all. Which means that that's going to be only their second game this split on the red side, and going up against Golden Guardians, who have played they played 3 games on blue, 2 on red. They're also 0-3 on blue side. That's not really what has been their strength.
It's definitely something that they're going to need to adapt to. Between blue and red, it really depends on how you like to draft, because that, I think, more often than not comes down to a coaching decision of what is our draft going to look like? What do we need to counter pick? We need to think about these top tiers. We need to think about our Udyrs, our Camille's, our Talias, what have you, and really decide, are those what we want to play? Because as I mentioned earlier, Golden Guardians Academy, they can look for other stuff. We saw what Prismal did on Vayne. We know he can play things that aren't necessarily the best thing in the world. But if you draft it on blue side, you have to be prepared for the counter.
And I want to see that. I want to see that Vayne again out of Prismal.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the Seraphine. I get they feel that that's the strong pick and that's what they got to go for, but I don't want to see that. It's not been working out for Golden Guardians at all. And while Kai'Sa, you can argue it wasn't working out so well, neither was the Ezreal. I just don't want to see Seraphine. Get rid of that. Ban it if you have to. Just don't draft that.
Not for Golden Guardians anyway. At least for Evil Geniuses Academy, they had a winning game yesterday when they picked the Seraphine on For Sure You. I think he does a phenomenal job on this character. I think the team knows how to play around it. The problem is, being on red side, do you ban that away, or do you allow them to get that even if it's not their strongest point? Because you really pigeonhole yourself into a certain dynamic when you allow Seraphine to go through. You're saying that you want it to be picked first because of how high priority is it, or maybe that's just the trap that Evil Geniuses want to lay as they continue in this draft.
And for Seraphine, just kind of talking about that champion as a whole, the flexibility that she provides, where you can put her into the bot lane if you want to, put her into the mid lane as well. I always like those champions that you can draft early and not really give away too much of your strategy of what you're going to try to accomplish as a team, because you can always flex things around. That's why Galio was always one of my favorite ones whenever he's meta, because you can put him mid lane, you can put him support. You're not exactly sure where it's going to go. Like, if you look over, I believe it's Solifida in the North American Amateur, Zazel's been playing a bunch of that Galio despite nerfs that have come into it, because he's really confident on that champion, but they can still flex that mid lane if they need to.
Flexibility definitely key between both of these teams. What I want to know is, especially between the jungle matchups, what are these two players comfortable with? Because Contracts, very much in a AP domination style meta. I certainly remember his Nidalee being fearsome throughout his career, and I hope that he's able to bring that out if it's not banned away. And Rosethorn, I need to see a little bit more out of him. We saw the Hecarim yesterday doing well. We saw it earlier in the season doing well. I just hope that whatever flexible picks they decide to go for, they're picking things that Rosethorn can comfortably do, and we're picking things that Contracts really shines on, because sometimes you need a player to just shine, and right now, jungle meta, everything.
I would say Shyvana, but that's going to be 11-3. We'll probably see a lot of Shyvana after the buffs.
Not happening yet.
Not yet. I mean, I saw it last split where I believe it was Contracts played that, and not the best performance. It did end up winning, but it wasn't like it was the best performance. We'll probably see it kind of like a Udyr kind of thing, where, you know, everyone thought Udyr wasn't going to be a thing, and then all of a sudden here he is, and he's dominating with a buff to Shyvana. I expect her next patch, but Nidalee, I think, is the proper one to talk about. Nidalee and Talia. I do expect Talia to be banned by either one of these teams, but I believe that those are the two jungle picks that are shared amongst both Rosethorn and Contracts.
I think so, and that's just because of how meta they've been and how much practice both these teams have been going in their scrims, and making sure that Contracts, again, isn't particularly strong or particularly confident on what he plays. So you really want to take away what he is if you're on Golden Guardians. Can you deny him the Echo, though? Because that pick from Cloud9 Academy really throws things into question of whether or not some outside picks are going to come in, and whether or not that's something that Contracts can pull up.
And speaking of outside picks, JoJoPian's got a mid lane set pick this split. And that is not something that I expected when going into a lot of this, is seeing it, you know, set support, maybe kind of expected a little bit, but seeing it still be flexed into the mid lane, and something that could catch teams off guard. A team like Golden Guardians Academy might not be prepared for that. If we see another Aurelia, I wonder if that set's going to come through again and try to see if they can utilize that as, you know, that tank front line, but also be able to rotate around the map to impact things that way with Contracts.
Well, I mean, we've also seen Set played today, and even though it wasn't in the mid lane, it's still a very impactful choice. And while it is a fringe pick, I think Jojo Pune, especially with his CS records, he's up CS every single game, even in losing matchups. He is going to be very confident on this champion, and I think he's going to be confident into Yunbi, who has struggled a lot in lane, and I feel like his picks should reflect that as well. He can play confident, he can play off the wall, he can play meta. I feel like this is a player that's going to make a lot of difference in this Evil Geniuses Academy team.
Yeah, and it's honestly going to come down to a lot of that. And I feel like where we kind of see some overlap is a little bit in draft when it comes to bans, where you see, Pantheon, of course, been something that they like to ban, but the Seraphine is also something that Evil Geniuses usually take off the table if they can. I believe it is whenever they're on blue side, they tend to ban that away. But I'm expecting to see like Olaf not let through, maybe even Udyr get banned again. Seraphine could be benched and not be a problem for either team. But that's the thing. Maybe from Golden Guardians, what they could do to really set the pace of how this draft is not going to be normal is by immediately out the gates when we get into champions, like say, let's take away things that you're normally comfortable with. You normally want to play, such as like a Camille.
Yep, Camille's going to be gone. No surprises there. Seraphine from Evil Geniuses Academy. They decide not to play the game, not to let Golden Guardians Academy have that, and it is gone. So now we have to think about what Golden Guardians are going to go for. I imagine a Renekton ban wouldn't be out of the question. Talia ban instead, just to make sure the top tiers are gone. Olaf as well. This still leaves Tony Top all the things that he wants, but as we talked about, contracts also still has the Nidalee available if he wants to take away a maybe A tier jungle pick.
As Pantheon and Felios banned away. Looks like Udyr making his way through. Of course, Rosethorn gonna grab that immediately, since so many people have been... I mean, we saw it last game, too. It's so difficult to be able to actually kill him. Why not take that? And Shoryu getting a coveted Kai'Sa as Seraphine was banned away. Yeah, it's the trade. Kai'Sa for Udyr. Which one do you want more?
All right, and Tally responding with the Aatrox. So let's see if that matchup works out for him. It worked out pretty well last game when we saw those two teams going against each other. And the Lilia going to be picked up for contracts. Okay, so still staying in the AP chain, not picking the Nidalee, but instead going a little bit higher tier and saying that we're just going to run around you. We're going to get an engaged support, and we're going to use that in order to get our team fights in.
And that is one of the things with Lilia, how she's able to really help out with a lot of these team fights and be able to get, especially if she can get a 5-man sleep. It's something that's like a shockwave, even though Orianna was banned away. You always like having something like that is able to make these plays and try to be aggressive. And speaking of aggressive, Alistar, a good front line that was drafted by Evil Geniuses because Nautilus, something I like paired up with a Kai'Sa, was banned away.
Okay, and for the support on the side of Golden Guardians Academy, Chime has taken the Rel, which really does wonder, can Prismal do work on the Xayah? Because when I think about Xayah, I think about her effectiveness with Rakan goes through the roof, but without the Rakan, you can stay safe, certainly, but not against that much dive threat. That is a Renekton, a Yone, and an Alistar coming at you with a support from Kai'Sa. I don't think that a single Featherstorm is going to be the difference maker.
I got my eyes on that Yone personally. I see Yone picked and I'm like, yes, let's have some fun here. And for the side of Evil Geniuses, it's maybe not necessarily like a super fringe pick, but it's not necessarily something that you see always drafted. And how aggressive it can play into Yunbi on this Victor is going to be what is important. If you can stop this Victor from doing what he does best, which is clear the minion wave and rotate elsewhere. If you can make sure you're always putting this pressure onto him, he's never going to have the chance to be able to tag team with Rosethorn.
Now, the question is, where, if you are Rosethorn, are you going to go? Because Tony Top is going to be a monster, and Contracts, I imagine, is just going to focus that top side. So Rosethorn should either respond, probably not with fire, but instead go for the dragon, go for the bot side, try to get Prismal and Chime ahead. I feel like if that strategy is followed, then you might even get Yunbi involved and get him all the kills that he needs in order to succeed, because Golden Guardians Academy, they're very much a bot team, and with this composition, I feel like they have all the tools they have to win. They just need the execution.
They need the execution, and I feel like they need to make it to the team fight stage of the game. You look at, usually a Xayah lane is always going to be one of those lanes that you're trying to see if you can just survive. It's the survive, thrive later on, and be able to actually output damage then. Well, sure, Kai'Sa and Alistar, I'm not going to say is like the most consistent lane, but the Six is probably going to look for those early plays on a Prismal, try to punish the fact that Xayah doesn't really have that much damage early on, and get Shoryu into at least a better spot in the spot lane, maybe that level 2 advantage to constantly shoving Prismal and Chime, where the Xayah isn't ever going to be able to have her chance to show and really to get that damage output they need.
It's definitely going to be a tough battle in the bottom. I'm curious whether or not this is going to be the end-all be-all of battles, because while a bot lane can get ahead, I really wonder whether that's enough versus a Tony top, because yes, Shoryu is going to be ahead. I feel like contracts could very well show up down there. Mystiques could get the level 2, but is that going to be what wins you the game? And the answer is I'm not sure. It really depends on how they decide to play it and how Shoryu decides to translate his victory in lane, his hypothetical victory in lane, into a victory in game.
And that's what I think is going to be pretty much the question for Evil Geniuses to answer for themselves, because they have a very aggressive top half of the map. Well, we're making these allusions to Kai'Sa and Alistar being an aggressive lane as well. It's not guaranteed. I talked about how it's kind of inconsistent. It can play very aggressive if they can get that level 2. Probably going to look for that play to try to see if they can catch out Prismal. But they got to get that first. Chime, I doubt, is going to let that go just by the wayside and not actually try to put up some sort of a resistance. Maybe even put Prismal and Chime into that spot where they're the ones with that level 2 and forcing Kai'Sa back.
Well, it will be a game that's exciting to see. I also wonder if this top lane matchup, we haven't talked a whole lot about Tally. I feel like he's been one of those top laners that, especially on a team that hasn't had many victories, hasn't really shown a whole lot yet. He hasn't joined the team for fights in the most crucial moments. I feel like more often than not, he's down in CS. Versus Tony top, he's going to struggle a lot. In order to really get anything done, I feel like he needs to just play as passive as possible.
And that's always a rough spot to put someone on Aatrox in, going up against a Renekton. Well, yeah, you don't want to give a Renekton an early lead. You don't want to necessarily just give up the lane either. You want to try to put some kind of fight up there where you're constantly able to trade blows while not necessarily putting yourself in a position to get punished, or keeping up with CS. Maybe even can have Rosethorn show up and punish Tony Top for being over aggressive, since Tony Top does do that sometimes. He's a very aggressive top laner and occasionally goes a little too far.
Sometimes that'll happen, and when you have the ability to capitalize on that, which Udyr kind of can, actually, especially if you have the backup from Yunbi, then there is a means of securing Tony top. There's what you need to control, and hopefully they'll be able to do that in game, but as it stands, it's just so difficult to get on something as slippery as Renekton.
Slippery as Renekton, but honestly, the whole side of EG is a bit slippery. Like, you get the Lilia, sure, you can kind of lock her down, but if she can get a good sleep off, she can get a lot of movement speed from her Q as well to be able to prance away. Yone is going to be able to hop back. Kai'Sa is going to be able to go invisible. Alistar's Alistar. The only thing for Evil Geniuses that I'm a little curious on is how low range they all are going up against Golden Guardians Academy. Sure, Udyr and Aatrox are going to be the ones in the middle of the fight, but Xayah and Victor can stay pretty much far away from the fight and not really put themselves in a spot to actually get caught. As long as they are wise and making sure they're always on top of where they're positioned, that's the one win condition that Evil Geniuses have well over Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses have to throw their bodies into these fights, while GG can just stay back.
Definitely an option for them. GG also have a lot of disengage to their style. If Evil Geniuses wants to get in and out, it's going to be a lot harder versus something like a Victor versus an Aatrox, but we'll have to see when the game gets started.
Yep, we're hopping on to the Rift for the final game of the day, Week 3, Day 2. Golden Guardians Academy 1 and 4 would love to be able to start climbing up the ladder. As Evil Geniuses Academy, they too want to be able to do the same, be able to go right into the middle of everybody and try to see if they are going to be able to take down GGA and finish off the day.
Could very well be the case. The records may show an advantage to Evil Geniuses Academy, but as we talked about, that doesn't mean everything. The game has started, and when you're on the Rift, anything can happen.
And it can. As, why do they never fight, Sam?
I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for you other than it probably wins more games than it loses to be passive. What? Just stay safe. Wear a mask. All that.
Oh, that's true. Okay, that's fair. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. But I just want to see fighting. Want to see invades?
We all do. We all do.
See aggression. Even though Chime is playing aggressively here, it's not enough. There's no real threat. It's 2 of you against a potential 3 of them.
And for the most part, it looks like Rosethorn going to be starting off on the top side, and the blue start as well from Contracts means he knows where he's going, and Rosethorn probably knows exactly where he's going, towards that bot side, as we talked about. And the strategies of both teams seem to be playing out pretty by the book so far.
So far, so good. Prismal and Chime, though, first ones into the bot lane, will be able to get a bit of an advantage as Yunbi trying to fight a bit with Jojo Pion on who's going to be able to push out this wave faster. It is going to be Victor for the first few levels. You even say that it's just getting a little bit of a harass onto Yone. Nothing too special at the moment, not until at least he gets that laser pointer to really be able to clear out the minions.
And so far, it's looking like he's got to at least get the first push. The early level 2 as well, going to be important for not dying immediately, as Jojo Pion's forced under turret, Contracts in the area, but you know he's not going to show himself quite yet.
No, not yet. Just clearing out the minion waves. Bit of a harass onto Jojo Pion again, coming in from Yunbi, but more just wanting to trade out these minions, get some gold into their pockets. Tony top, though, in that top lane. Really good shot onto Tally. That's that Renekton Aatrox lane, the level 1, level 2. Renekton's always usually going to be pushing pretty far, and since Rosethorn did start on the top half of the map, Tony Top's not going to be threatened for a long time.
No, not in the slightest, as we do see the push. This might even be the dive if they feel truly spicy, but I feel like between a Lily and a Renekton pre-6, not going to happen.
Right, I'm like, if it was a Kled maybe, if it was Kled, but Kled hasn't been really played in a while. I would love to see a Kled.
It's been a long time since we've seen a Kled, you know? It's just one of the more fun champions that just has such an energy to him, you know?
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of myself.
How's that?
Crazy.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I feel it. Total agree.
Yunbi and Jojo Pion trading back and forth again, but eventually Jojo Pion's going to win out just because Yunbi running out of mana. Not really going to be able to do as much as he would like to. Jojo Pion keeping the minions kind of frozen a bit far out from his turret. Wants to be able to unfreeze that so that way either he can get a good recall off or maybe even try to put a little bit more vision into Rosethorn's jungle. You can see some of the vision on the top half of the map in the river to be able to spot out where that Udyr is going to be, and going to make it difficult for him to do too much, except for the fact that it is still a homeless man who's just trying to get the scraps of jungle.
He's trying his best, but as we noted last game, Udyr does have the faster clear, and so will be able to get his back timing a lot better and actually move towards the top side. Unfortunately for him, though, if he tries this top gank, there's so much vision for the side of Evil Genius's Academy that he's not going to be able to get to Tony top. Yunbi, good zoom in on there.
Stopping these backs off for Jojo Pion. He wants to just go and buy some items. He wants to go shopping.
Will he get it? No.
Yeah, you canceled the back again.
Denied.
Yeah. All right, a little bit of a fight and just a shield back. All right, nothing special.
And with that, Jojo Pion finding himself in a lot of danger. You could see Rosethorn hovering around. Maybe this is the dive. Magical. It could happen.
Look at that. Look who's behind
Definitely
him.
not
the
now,
nearby.
but maybe.
Laser pointer. Not enough mana from Yunbi to be able to do too much, but again, a rotation. It's Chime this time, getting the knockup on to Tony Top. They got the Ignite. Rosethorn doesn't even need to be there. There, you had Tally to be able to get first blood.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have all 5 of his stacks yet, so cannot use the Chilling Smite and wouldn't have been able to steal that kill. But nice rotation coming out of Chime, going to the top side 5 minutes into the game. That is a tilter if ever I've seen one for a top laner.
Yeah, especially because he looked like he was winning this entire time. He even still has a CS lead over Tally. He's constantly like, I'm going to be able to win this. He's got an Executioner's Calling so that there's going to be less healing involved with Tally, but he's just too far out. And Chime, I think this is just a great rotation.
Just able to find the weakness. Tony Top thought he was safe, thought he had all the vision, but Chime went all the way around the wards he had in River, and Rosethorn to follow up just to secure the kill meant Tally actually gets ahead and kills.
Beautiful pathing. And this is why you were highlighting Chime beforehand. He's been one of these supports that's been able to really facilitate Prismal, always rotating around the map where they can leave Prismal on an island because they're confident in his abilities. Zaya into a Kai'Sa and Alistar lane. I talked about the volatility that might happen. Well, Prismal doesn't seem to matter. He doesn't seem to mind. He's fine being able to be by himself and having this great push and this great shove that makes it so that Shoryu and Mystiques aren't ever looking for that play onto Xayah.
And Rosethorn predictably does go towards the Dragon. Will manage to pick this up. No contest from Contracts, and that's going to be a 6-minute and probably 35-second Ocean Dragon. Pretty good for Golden Guardians as a start. They hopefully can carry this through and maybe even get some pressure down bot, as Rosethorn, even though he's low on HP, could still provide threat.
And I love this vision coming in from the side of Golden Guardians. Look at that control ward all the way by the red buff, and yeah, they did a little fighting mid. Let's talk about vision. That's the important thing. There's a ward on top of that blue buff too. It's allowing Rosethorn to be able to go invade because they spotted out Contracts on the top half of the map. That's why Unity's playing towards the bottom half. It's giving so much control to Golden Guardians, and EG have no idea. They're none the wiser.
No, there's no way to know about this. However, you do see Contracts with the communication that he has. He can go into the jungle, get an encounter on himself, and actually this is mirror takes.
It's a shield.
Interesting.
Okay. He's able to get out of there. Ignite was burned by Mystiques. Prismal's still playing aggressively, posturing like he wants to keep the spike going, but he's not level 6 just yet. No Featherstorm. As Rosethorn, though, he is level 6. Wants to look for that dive. Are they actually going to go for it? Are they going to try to get the knock? If they can, they're going to be able to get the knock up on the Chime instead. They're going to be able to get the kill and assure you as well. Mystiques, holding on dear life. Try to see if you can at least find somebody, some sort of re-engage, because you know that Rosethorn, Prismal, and Chime want to be able to get him yet again. Locked him down, jumped away with Pyromancy, and there's the Featherstorm to be able to pick up the kill.
I think that last Featherstorm was a little bit of disrespect, but at the same time, they did just pick up 2 kills on the side of Golden Guardians Academy. Evil Geniuses, I feel like there should have been a heads up for that. At the very least, you know that Udyr isn't in the top side of the map. He must therefore be on the bottom. So we take a look at this replay. Yunbi and Jojo Pyun just to start. Looks like, actually, this was a lot of damage. Was this a kill?
Yeah, it was. I think that it was a kill on to Yunbi right there.
Close.
So something on the map for Contracts to be able to get back, but it was the entire time that dive was happening in the bot lane. And sure, you get the kill onto Yunbi, and it's a nice silver lining, but it was a flash for flash trade from Contracts and Yunbi. And then there's the 2 kills bot lane given over to Prismal, over to the Xayah that we talked about being kind of the weak side 80 carry. Well, she ain't gonna be weak anymore. She's already got the Noon Quiver, already looking pretty hot, and Prismal in a position to be able to carry this early on someone who wants to be able to get crit is going to be nice. Chime locked down. Unfortunately, he has been stunned up, so that is going to be Jojo Pyun taking an easy kill.
Nice lockdown from Evil Geniuses Academy. They got the gank. Mystiques, I thought, made a mistake with the combo, but, you know, it turns out that that was just to interrupt the crash down coming out of Rel, so Chime getting caught out there. And with that, Evil Geniuses Academy are able to take the Rift Herald.
Not even going to be contested, I doubt, from Golden Guardians. They could try to, but you can see Rel's pretty far away. Unless, wait a minute, Rosethorn. Okay, I was like, is he going to try to see if he can run in there and get this smite? Maybe instead he's going to look for Mystiques, getting a little bit of damage on him, but it's going to be stunned back on him as well. Knocked back by the headbutt. Rosethorn, Yunbi. Looking for what they can get. Where's the Gravity Storm? Where's the Gravity Field? They got a lot of damage. Laser Pointer helps to get the kill for Rosethorn.
Unfortunate that Rosethorn picked that up. You definitely want that on Yunbi at this stage in the game. If Victor gets kills, he gets more stacks towards his fake Hex Core, I guess we could call it, and would be able to have a lot more damage on that laser pointer. Unfortunately, because of the extra damage coming off of the Tiger Strikes, I believe that was, of Rosethorn, he just had to take the kill. Unlucky.
I mean, you know what? I think it's okay. I think a kill's a kill. Rosethorn getting it isn't the worst thing. You're right. Not going to be able to get some of those scraps that you can pick up to be able to upgrade some of your abilities to be able to get a bit more damage, but you already have the upgrade on the laser pointer. You already have that increased wave clear now potential for Victor, and always going to be able to shove back in Jojo Pyun, who wants to be able to fight him.
And look at this, a full rotation coming out of both teams. Golden Guardians Academy and Evil Geniuses Academy sending their bot laners top the top laners bot. It's the Australia lanes we were talking about before. Spawn isn't here, so he can't comment, but I assume he would say the same.
Well, that Hex Flash didn't net anything. Said it's going to be GGA pushing back in the minions. Rosethorn was on the wings just in case, looking to see if maybe there was going to be that play coming in from Shoryu and Mystiques. They're all going to recall instead, realizing there's really not much that they can get from that. They can't net a turret, they can't net a Rift Herald because that's gone. The only thing left is going to be the dragon that's going to spawn here in 30 seconds.
I do have to wonder why Chime canceled his TP there. I don't know if he saw someone coming towards him, or if he just feared Mystique's is all in. But that canceled back does lead a little bit of weakness for Golden Gardens Academy. Now they won't get the wards out quite as quick as they want. Maybe Contracts can capitalize.
Yes, but at the same time, I feel like the fact that both Shoryu and Mystiques are so delayed in their own recalls to be able to join into the spot half of the map, it's not necessarily the worst thing. As you can even see, Chime's not even trying to put those wards down. Instead, they're just trying to secure mid lane so they can TP in, secure around the Mountain Dragon, and force away EGP.
And with that, some ward vision going to be cleared. Golden Gardens Academy, they're going to... Actually, the Rift Herald gets popped by Evil Geniuses, and the Dragon has been started. So Golden Guardians have said, our win condition is Dragon. Evil Geniuses Academy said, our win condition is taking down turrets. Let's see who wins at the end of the day.
Fighting, as there is a fight into the backline. Magnet Storm was able to draw in 3 members, but Tony Top wants to be able to get into the backline. Grismal, can he get enough damage? They've already lost Rel, and they're going to lose Victor too. Tally, there goes the World Ender, trying to get the Dark and Blade. He flashed to be able to follow up Jojo Pune. He wants to be able to get one more, but he couldn't. It's a triple kill instead for Tony Top.
And that was a crazy ult coming out of Jojo Pune especially, but a good engage coming out of Evil Geniuses overall. They found what they needed to. Mystique's getting in there at first, and then the follow-up from the rest of the squad meant there was nothing that Golden Gardens Academy could do. They just lose members. They get the Dragon, but at what cost?
And you look at the positioning here from Tony Top. He is looking to pretty much pick off Yunbi or Prism.
Yep. And you can see, like, Mystique's in the back line, able to distract 3, and the Sealed Fate lands on 4. Absolutely disgusting out of this Yone. Just so much damage, so much CC, and is even able to get away from the fight using the sweep. Too much to handle. Triple kill, especially going over to Tony Top, is not what you need.
This Renekton now going to be even scarier in the side lane. Already was able to stop a lot of the healing for Tally, and now got the Iron Spike Whip to be able to clear out a little bit faster, get a little bit more extra burst potential into this Aatrox. Honestly, for Tally, he's got to sacrifice a lot. Sure, he's not down much in gold, but it feels like when a Renekton even has somewhat of a lead like this, he's going to be too threatening for Aatrox to be able to go toe-to-toe against him.
It's going to be tough. It's not impossible, but it's going to be tough because Tony Top has shown what he does with leads as of yesterday, and pretty much every game he's ever gotten a lead. He's going to be scary, but it is possible to kite him out. Again, Golden Guardians have drafted a composition that can disengage. Especially against a Renekton, it is possible to disengage. Chime is going to be the difference maker, and I feel like he needs to be front and center anytime Tony Top makes a play.
At least to be able to drag him off of your backline so you're not worrying about Yunbi or Prismal. And that's the one thing I was talking about with their composition. They have this range to be able to stay away from people like Jojo P and from Tony Top, Contract, Shoryu, Mystiques. But they still got to stay away from them. They got to keep them away from being able to get into the backline. Because if you suddenly have all 5 of them on top of Prismal or Yunbi, well, Rose, Thorn, and Tally were trying to see if they can get a good flank. Well, it's not really going to do you much good.
And Magical, I'd like to point something out.
What up?
Contracts didn't build a Moonstone Renewer.
Yay!
It's entirely because there just isn't any magic damage coming out of the squad. But you're getting what you want.
That's
Damage.
all I want. I just like damage. I don't care about the magic damage part. I don't care about if it's good or not. I just don't like it.
Well, certainly playing against Moonstone Renewer can be a pain, but playing against a fed Lilia with the Leandries and a damage build, very, very annoying as well. Mystique's coming in.
Mystique's coming in. Not realizing, though, that Rosethorn was there, eating up a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Chime's going to be the first casualty. 3v2, getting the damage onto Contract. Want to be able to get the lifting lullaby onto Prismal. He's asleep. They're not going to be able to follow that up. Instead, they got to stay right outside of the turret range to flash away to be able to survive. It's not looking too good for GGE, as EGA are able to rotate around for that Rift Herald.
And with that, you can see how tanky Rosethorn is just off the steel caps and the turbo chem tank. He's able to deal with so much pressure on his side. Yes, they lose Chime, but if that's all you lose at this point in the game, that's not the end of the world. It's not great, but Evil Geniuses Academy, at the very least, don't have the damage yet to deal with this Udyr.
No, not yet, but I mean, the best thing to do with the Udyr is almost ignore him. You say, whatever, you do whatever you're going to do. We're going to focus on the actual threats, the carries. Take away the people that are going to actually be disruptive, such as Prismal, such as Chime, who can jump into the backline. He's just not tanky enough on that rail to be able to survive diving into the backline.
And with that, I'm curious to see. Prismal has gotten a CS lead over Shoryu, speaking of the damage threats, and also 2 kills. I think he's ahead in gold by a reasonable margin. It's not a whole lot, but it is an advantage that Golden Gardens Academy might be able to use to exploit a possible weakness in Evil Geniuses and maybe get past this horrendously scary Tony Top.
And that's what you're relying on. You mentioned it before that Prismal and Chime are really the ones that they're going to have to fall back to be the ones to carry Golden Guardians Academy to victory. As long as they're able to do what they can to be able to dodge away from the threats of Evil Geniuses, they'll be fine. But they still got to dodge them. You can see it's a Gale Force picked up by Prismal to just get a little bit added safety, even a little bit added burst. You're getting more of these mythics completed. The Gore Drinker for Tally, that Turbo Chem tank coming in from Rosethorn, but still Yunbi working his way to be able to get enough gold to purchase his own.
And now both teams kind of take a restart. The Dragon is available. Looks like Evil Geniuses Academy will be taking this uncontested. Mystiques especially to thank for that because of the vision as well as the pressure coming out. And that's going to be a 2 dragons to 1 dragon scenario, Golden Gardens Academy. I thought they would put more emphasis on this dragon play, but unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards. Or maybe they thought that it was more important to get topside priority.
Yeah, but they didn't even get that, unfortunately. They got some vision control, and what I had been praising them back, a couple minutes ago has kind of fallen to the wayside, it seems. They've got some vision control, but they haven't been able to push that too deep into Evil Geniuses Academy's jungle. Instead, it's kind of just on the periphery, right here in the river, to be able to control that. Try to see if they can set up a Death Brush into an Alistar, who's able to survive a lot of that. I mean, Mystiques, unfortunately, was stepping at him. He just walks away from everything. I don't even think a single auto hit him.
I think that was a small misplay from Chime. He stepped out of the bush for a quick quarter second, and with that, Mystiques knew he was in danger. He backs up, doesn't get hit by anything. Well played by him. But you have to imagine, had Chime stayed in the bush, he would have been in a lot more danger.
It was just really funny. He just quickly noped out of there. He's like, yeah, nope, not going anywhere near that.
And with that, Evil Geniuses Academy has to rethink their strategy here. They need to get the vision advantage, but they can't fall for these death pushes. Golden Guardians Academy, they're setting it up, and I like that they're going for proactive plays. However, I don't know if it's ever going to work out. And on Mystiques especially, that's a pretty tough sell.
For the moment, GGA, seems that they are trying to get some of that vision that I was asking for them, especially around top half of the map. They notice that it's Jojo Pion who's trying to defend that tier 1, but it's not really looking like it's going to work out too well for the side of Golden Guardians. They haven't been able to wrestle too much control back from Evil Geniuses, who continue to wait it out. They're just waiting, buying some more items, getting more gold into their pockets. They have no rush, it seems.
None whatsoever, but Rosethorn invading in, trying to see if he can get a little bit of pressure onto Contracts, who does take away the red buff. And maybe this is the start of Evil Geniuses trying to push forward, because now they know where the enemy is. They know Rosethorn is in this river. Maybe they go for him, but unfortunately, they just don't have enough people present for the moment to take out a pick.
No, instead, they back out of that one. They've got some vision in that top quadrant. They want to be able to, still get the gold themselves, gift over the proper blue buffs to... Oh, no!
No, the swirl seed. It's not like this. Oh, Contracts picks up a blue buff. Golden Guardians denied.
All right, FF.
That's it.
Right.
Call
That's what my junglers do at that point.
Yeah, I don't see why he's not AFK at this point. He is backing, which is 50% of the equation. But we'll have to see whether or not he stays. Oh, that's
so unfortunate. They wanted to give that to Yunbi too and be like, here you go, Victor. Clear more minion waves for us. Do your job, robot. And yeah.
And with that, Golden Guardians, the smallest of losses, but certainly no less demoralizing than a big loss. They are just trying to get back into the game, trying to push out. They had a reset time, 1 minute and 30 until the dragon spawns. Hopefully Golden Guardians go for this. I feel like they need to advance their win condition forward if they want to have any chance of coming out positive in this game.
The worst thing about that, too, is I believe it was partly blind. They had no vision of it, and now Tally not looking like he's in a good spot. Mystique's looking to be able to flank him.
Ooh,
Worldbender was popped. He wants to be able to knock him into the wall before headbutt. He's able to delay a lot, but the Gore Drinker was able to get him a lot of health back. He's going to be drowsy, put to sleep. World Seed gets the killing spree out of Contracts.
It's just so tough to deal with a roaming squad, and speaking of which...
Well, he unfortunately used his Shadow, there it is, dashed back, knocked up, killed off, given over, unfortunately, to Chime.
1-for-1, and luckily enough for Golden Guardians Academy, I should say, they did that play early enough where they can reset, they can go for the dragon now, and they might even be able to grab this turret. So it's a turret and a kill trade for both squads, but Evil Geniuses Academy, they don't need it as bad as Golden Guardians Academy needed at this point.
Exactly, a net neutral play. Unfortunately, though, it does not look like Yunbi was able to get the turret off that first play, so has to wait for the next round of minions. Should still be able to get that. It is delaying things. Delaying what they might be able to set up around the map and being able to get themselves that pressure that you wanted around that dragon that's going to spawn here in 25 seconds and see if they can lock down control of the bottom quadrant of the map since they had focused so heavily on securing the vision in the top half.
And there's the teleport coming in from Yunbi. The Golden Guardians Academy are doing what they should be doing at this point, securing the bottom objective. Hopefully, they can find the engage they need and get something off this objective other than just the dragon, because if they can win a team fight, this game could turn around for them.
And right now, the dragon spawns, Sleepy Prismal. World Seed again. Look at the damage coming in from Contract. Is he ever going to be able to get the Feather Storm? He couldn't even get it up. It's a trade of 1-for-1 with Renekton onto Tony Top. They take down the Renekton. Here comes the Fate sealed into the back line, but Jojo Pion was too late to be able to get to the party. Tally locks him down, flashed towards the Flash Cone, and look at the Bear Man. He's looking to see if he can chase him down. He's got the Tornado to try to see if he can escape. The Flash comes in, but it's not going to be the race left. Finally, they're able to lock him down to get the Q to get the damage onto Jojo Pion. He snaps back, throws Thorn, smites the minion to be able to stay alive, and Tally finds himself on a killing spree. The dragon is going to be Golden Guardians.
And that was exactly the play they needed to make. They found the pick early onto Lilia, which it looked abysmal for Prismal, if I do say so myself. But fortunately, he had the team backing him up. Shine was able to get the disengage necessary, and Tony Top missed a dash. So all those things on top of each other meant Contracts got obliterated at the start of the fight.
And yeah, I was like, Contract's getting obliterated in that one. I believe he has the Hourglass, but it's also Prismal getting deleted. So it seemed like it could have been great for Evil Geniuses. But the biggest problem is the fact that they poured in one after another, as opposed to being one cohesive unit.
I think that was just a small micro mistake by Tony Top that really threw everything out of balance for Evil Geniuses Academy. And Golden Guardians, credit to them, they did the disengage they needed to do. They capitalized on the mistake, and they were able to get so much advantage off that play. Now they're in the lead after such a long time of being in a drought against Evil Geniuses Academy.
And Tally being able to pick up so many kills in that fight is going to make this Aatrox that was struggling before into Tony Top's Renekton suddenly much stronger, suddenly a lot more powerful. He's got the Sterix gauge, he's got Tiamat to be able to have a little bit faster wave clear, as well as having his own grievous wounds in that Executioner's Calling, that it sets up now where Golden Guardians can more confidently push out pretty far, not really having to worry about potential flanks because they have that TP from Tally to always be able to look for their own.
Unfortunately for Golden Guardians, that was also a pretty grim reminder that Prismal is so susceptible to damage as a fight happens.
Tally, I don't believe, needed TP there. Might be that they're trying to set up around the Baron, but burning that TP forces their hand. They have to look for this. They have to. They use the TP. They got to get something.
Well, unfortunately, they had to, but
Sleepy.
you know.
Sleepy. Chime, though, was able to stop it this time. Says, Contracts, not this time. You're not allowed to get on a Prismal. You were able to have him take a quick nap. That's about it. Got rid of the jungler. Jojo Pion on the other side of the wall. Wants to be able to dash his way in. This is attempted fight again by Golden Guardians. They want this Baron. No smite on the side of Evil Geniuses. Down to 50% health. They really want to be able to get this, and look at that. Hex Flash over the wall coming in from Mystique to try to lock down target. Featherstorm was used to try to see if they can disengage. Mystique is going to be the first one to die in the fight, and Tony Top has to get away. They want the Baron, though. Yunbi is chasing away Tony Top, so it's going to be a Baron for Golden Guardian. Try to get the kill on a Renekton too. He sliced and diced his way away, but it's the Chaos Storm getting a lot of damage onto him. Can they chase him down, get the kill over to Yunbi? They can indeed. It's all on the other side. Shoryu was chased down by Tally.
Oh, you hate to see it. The top laner coming at you as an AD carry, but that entire play predicated on a very, very forced play from Golden Guardians Academy. They teleported in with Tally. They thought they were in dire straits, but then they take a really good fight against Evil Geniuses Academy. Contracts, once again, just out a little too far, but the difference is Prismal was not traded. And that's going to make all the difference when it comes to all these fights. Is Contracts going to stay alive? Because it looks like he didn't get the stasis off from the Zonias, and he went a little too far in. This was a concern coming into this week as to whether or not he was going to continue his streak of just going too aggressive before his team. And it looks like, unfortunately for Evil Geniuses Academy, it continues.
Getting caught out now. Golden Guardians have themselves in a pretty firm lead, and they're able to threaten these side lanes, get more gold into their pockets, set up for another minute and a half. And they're going to be able to get another dragon, and that would be the Cloud Dragon Soul that they can secure from themselves. So let's take a look at that replay. Like you mentioned, the World Seed looks like it caught Prismal again, but they're so far away, and Chime's positioning too.
Yeah, Chime is just everywhere he needs to be. Like I said, he is the vanguard, both in spirit and literally for the team. He has to be there to protect Prismal, and all this play just comes from Contracts not being available. They know they can continue the Baron. There's not really a huge engage from Mystiques because the ultimate is down. So he goes in, he's going to get Aftershock, but that's not enough tankiness at this point in the game. The Fate Unsealed's pretty good, but the focus coming in from Golden Guardians Academy is what seals it. They keep on the Baron, they keep it aggroed, and Tony Top just can't do what he can do.
And it's just eventually he's run down. Even on the other side, sure, you got run down by Tally. So pretty much any element that could put up any resistance for Evil Geniuses was just gone. And now there's the fight immediately inside the base. They don't have that inhibitor mid lane. They got a double knockup, but it's a Magnet Storm to try to see if they can delay for Yunvi, who's able to flash over the wall, get a lot of damage on the Mystiques with the laser pointer. Somehow, Prismal, how are you alive? He was able to get the Feather Storm. They lose 2 members inside the base. But Tally still going pretty crazy. Roadthorn trying to see if he can get away from Jojo Pune, but he's locked down, and he's trying to see if he can snap back with the World Seed. Smites to get a little bit of slow dodges, trying to fight back, but Contracts will finish him off.
And Golden Guardians Academy, they had everything they needed in the world. They had the Baron, they had the push, they had the inhibitor. They went a little too far. And Evil Geniuses Academy capitalized, especially Jojo Pune in that fight, was able to get so much damage in CC that the fight was lost. And Golden Guardians Academy, any lead and momentum they had, they still keep the gold lead, but the momentum very much shifting in the favor of Evil Geniuses Academy.
Evil Geniuses are going to be able to deny that soul to GGA. That's going to be a great position for Evil Geniuses to hold on for a little bit longer. They can keep doing that sort of fight. Find those plays where it's just a little bit too separated from Golden Guardians. Keep punishing that. Punish the fact that Yunvi was a little bit too far forward. That Prismal was not necessarily with Rosethorn. It was Tally who had to try to see if they can keep the ADC alive. They can keep doing that and find these awkward positions out of GGA. EGA, they might be able to creak their way back into a victory like they did against 100 Thieves.
Well, the problem is there's not really an objective to go for right now. You can see the Baron's not going to be up for another 2 minutes. There's not going to be a great siege coming out, and Evil Geniuses Academy, they have to fight back, but it's so difficult to do when the jungle is completely warded out. Mystiques could be walking into a death trap at any moment.
Yeah, but he's got backup. There's a good amount of the Evil Geniuses side on the other side to be able to flank that if they needed to. So, no attempted fight just yet by Golden Guardians. Instead, they're trying to play the slow, methodical game, paint by numbers League of Legends, secure vision control of the opponent jungle, always be able to push them out so that Contracts isn't going to be able to have any sort of experience nor gold to be able to do as much as you'd really like that Lilia to be able to do.
And looking at the state of the game right now in terms of items, I have to wonder, is this good enough for Golden Guardians Academy to win? Because yes, they have 3 items on Victor. Yes, they have 3 items on Prismal, but is that the victory condition? Because I'm seeing just as much completed on the side of Evil Geniuses. Maybe not on Jojo Pune, but certainly Shoryu is not too far behind.
Jojo Pune trying to get damage onto Chime. Unfortunately, not really that much. Now you're starting to get this Rill in a take here position. Before, remember how fast Chime died in some of those picks, some of those fights. Well, now it's a lot more difficult for them to do that.
And with that, it looks like the top is being pressured by Golden Guardians Academy. They're trying to get the pressure, but without a Baron and without a super high-range team, it's tough to do.
Tony Top's mid lane, too, trying to see if he can push back the super minions. This is a difficult lane and difficult turret to defend anyways. All Golden Guardians Academy have to do is rinse and repeat with the minions, and they're going to be able to take this. The Evil Geniuses have to back out.
It's just what has to happen. The Baron is coming up in 40 seconds. You have to prepare for that and make sure you get the vision down. They are going to re-engage onto the turret and maybe go for the fight.
No flash, no bear slap, not just yet. Tony Top already popping the dominance. Tally, the one in the middle of everyone. The turret is gone. They got the sleepy by time. Crystal had to go golden. No, Junbi, who's going to be the first casualty in the fight. Rose Thorn on the other side, still alive. Tally easily into the backline, getting a huge amount of damage that he needs to onto the proper target. Try to see if he can take down Jojo Pune, take down Tony Top, take down everyone. The ace for Golden Guardians. It's a triple kill for Tally, and it's going to be the game.
Oh my goodness, Golden Guardians Academy, back and forth. It looked like control was slowly being wrestled out of their grasp, but just when it looked a little bit like a turning point, it wasn't. Golden Guardians fight back, they get the dive they need, they get the ace, they get the game. Well played by this team.
And that is exactly what they needed to do here in week 3, picking up these victories to keep themselves within the running of a potential playoffs bid. They want everyone from now on. You cannot lose. For Evil Geniuses, it was well fought, but Golden Guardians, they got themselves in that position with an easier to execute team composition that worked immaculately around Prismal.
And I have to say, they were able to pick up so many advantages off of Chime. He just played this rel so well. This is another North American rel that we're going to have to look at. And going forward, as far as supports go, I feel like Chime is putting himself in the running for one of the more engaging ones. We've had a whole day of supports, Alex, and I gotta say, this game didn't disappoint.
Did not at all. Honestly, it was well done out of Chime on how he was able to play that. And it makes it so that you look at this Golden Guardians squad where, you know, some people had kind of discounted them, saying that they're not going to be able to do as much, and they proved a lot of people wrong. I think that they came into this one, few hiccups in the early game, but that's it. Their team fights look pretty clean. They're able to position around either Prismal or Yunbi, use either one of them as the carry for the fight, and that's all that really mattered. Even if it was a good pick from contracts around some of them, the fact that they weren't able to layer that onto Yunbi right immediately afterwards meant that he was still able to get a lot of damage, and then vice versa later on.
I have to say, this is one of the better performances out of Yunbi. He's able to stay safe. He still delivered damage constantly. And in addition to that, he was part of that disengage comp that we were talking about, that how necessary it was for Golden Guardians to be able to come in, to not fall for the traps of Evil Geniuses just coming in with their hard engage, and making sure Tony Top wasn't a big threat. Because at the end of the day, yes, he got some kills, and in the beginning of the game, it looked like it was another, cycling, going out of control, a snowball, if you will. But Yunbi, he stayed safe. They were able to take care of the threats, and a very overall good game played by Golden Guardians, even if there were hiccups here and there.
Yeah, a couple hiccups, but honestly, as long as you're able to shore up those weaknesses going further, GGA might be able to start soaring up into the standings and start having a better play for the future. Now I believe that they are tied with Evil Geniuses, who they just took down, as well as Dignitas and TSM Academy. So they've got themselves in a good position to keep climbing their way back in, and I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I believe we even have a player interview all lined up, presented by Verizon Wireless, so why don't we just jump right into it? Hello, Rose Thorn. Welcome in. Congratulations on your victory. Hi. It was great to see you guys and how you're able to perform. So I haven't been able to come up with questions too much just because we were still on the air. So just really quickly, I'll go with the basic one. How does it feel after that victory?
Obviously, it feels good since we weren't doing so well early on, but this game felt pretty smooth, except for like a few hiccups in some fights. So yeah, feeling pretty good.
Now, I wanted to ask you, with regards to the Udyr, is it a champion-specific idea, or is it a team-specific idea to focus towards the bot side? Because I noticed that you're, especially on Golden Guardians, whenever I see you ganking, it's always in the bot side, and I feel like that's where you guys get a lot of successes. Is that something that's going to continue, or is that something specific to the pick?
I don't think it was something specific to like Udyr, but when they drafted Renekton Lilia, it's like we don't really want to fight there early on, especially since they're so strong in level 3 skirmishing. So it just happened to be like an opening where we could dive them early, bot side. So we just took advantage of that.
And looking at how this game went for you guys, it felt like you were all on the same page almost all the time on how you wanted to be able to play this style. And I'm wondering, for the future of Golden Guardians Academy, is this something that you guys now feel confident in, where you had the earlier hiccups in the season, you've now come together as one unit?
We're definitely still like trying to improve as much as we can, but yeah, this felt a lot better than our few games in the first few weeks.
And how would you describe this in relation to your scrims? Do you think that this is the performance that you've always had, or is this something that, you know, has been an improvement over time as the season has gone on?
Yeah, I think definitely our scrim performances are slightly better than this, but especially for me and the other newer players on the team, like we're having trouble adjusting to playing on like official games. So hopefully, as we continue to play and improve, we'll be able to transition our scrim performances to actual games.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then that'll be it for you, Versler. You've been amazing. But I want to ask you, you've come out of the North American amateur scene and now here on the academy scene. How would you compare the two in terms of not just difficulty, but how you yourself have been able to grow as a player?
There's definitely a lot more structure and like discipline that's needed in academy compared to amateur. Teams are a lot more like punishing and like faster with map plays, so there's a lot more thinking that has to be done and problem solving in games. So it's been hard, but it's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity.
And I'm sure you're going to continue to do awesome. You're going to keep growing. I know it. We saw it today. We saw how you were able to play, and I think Golden Guardians, if you guys can keep doing what you did in this matchup where you all look like one unit, you'll thrive and survive and be able to get into the playoffs and do extremely well. So congratulations, and thank you, Rosethorn, for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, but that is also going to be it for us here for the day, week 3, day 2. That was the last game that we had for Academy. Sam, I miss casting with you.
I do too. You know what else I miss? Sunlight in my background. Makes it look like I'm casting out of a very dark place.
I mean, I just have a lot of lights around me to make it so it seems like I'm in a much brighter place than I am.
True.
So, you know, but there's the difference going on there. And, you know, people actually thought that we had different suits just because my lights make this
exactly
look more
the
salmon.
Same. It's the lighting.
It's lighting,
crazy.
you know? Lighting does that for things. It's the exact same suit, so... But guys, thank you so much for joining us here at Academy. It was a pleasure being able to cast again with Sam the Man, Cage in the Rage. Make sure you're following him at Cage in the Rage on Twitter, so that way you can keep up to date with what is up with him. I've been Mad Magical. You guys have been amazing. Have a wonderful night.